So now I would like to invite John Hughes up on stage. John has worked more than 10 years in the firewall security business. He's coming here from Dublin, Ireland, where we are running that operation. And John, how come you ended up in the security business when your family is all into horses?
Yeah, I suppose my family might laugh at that question because whilst I grew up loving horses and my family loved horses, I'm not so sure the same could be said from the horses loving me. And I think that was especially the case when I grew to be over 2 meters tall. I needed to pursue a different passion. I had an uncle involved in the electronic industry around the same time as Steve Jobs and Wozniak founded a company in the US called Telematics and successfully sold it, and that intrigued me. And 25 years or more later, as I got into the mobile telecoms industry and now into security, I still find it fascinating and it's something that excites me and drives me every day.
Yeah, thank you for making that choice, and I can really sympathize with the horses. You know the ins and the outs of this business, but you're also coming to Enea through an acquisition. Can you please share some views and thoughts on how it is to come into Enea through an acquisition?
Sure. So at the time I suppose we were looking around as a management team for an acquirer. We had plenty of different options available to us. We'd spoken to a number of different companies, and I have to say, we were excited about the prospect of joining Enea. We felt it was time for us to take that next step. We needed the solid foundation that Enea brings, and yeah, it was everyone in the leadership team thought it was a really good choice. I remember it being said to us that it's okay if 1 + 1 = 2. Our biggest fear was that the value and integrity of what we had built up over many years might be diluted if it was a private equity or something else. And I just thought the synergies, and it's true today. We thought it at the time. It's true today, 3 years later. The synergies between what we were doing and what Enea does really solidified what we were doing.
So that's great to hear. Thank you for that, John. So I'll give you the control. Please take us through your business group.
Thank you. So, as Anders said, John Hughes. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland, where Adaptive Mobile was originally founded over 20 years ago. I've been with Adaptive for 18, almost 19 years now, joining Enea just approximately 3 years ago. As Osvaldo described a little earlier, the markets that we serve, so my business group is referred to as the Network Security Business Group, and the markets we serve are the telecoms operators and the CPaaS players, Communication Platform as a Service players. Just to quickly describe again what CPaaS is, they're the companies that enable businesses to send messages. So it's your dentist wanting to send you your appointment reminder, but it's also at much larger scale. In the US recently, the CPaaS providers were used extensively by political campaigns to send messages at mass and at scale. Our value proposition. So we're focused on cybersecurity in telecoms, and specifically, what we primarily do is we sell firewalls to protect the operators and CPaaS networks. So we have messaging firewalls for operators, messaging firewalls for CPaaS, and there is distinctions between the two, which is why we decided to separate them. And then there's signaling firewalls, voice, and 5G. And maybe I'll just briefly touch on signaling to again explain how I explain it at the dinner table, which is with my family, which is if you imagine the postal network, and letters are coming in and out to the main sorting office. Well, the core network of the operator is like that sorting office, and we sit right in the heart of that, and we're checking that the source of the messages or the letters, the messages are legitimate. We're checking that the destination is legitimate. We're checking that the person is paying the right price for what they're sending, et cetera, et cetera. So we're validating all of the signaling flows as they fly through the network in real time. And the same with voice, and now moving into 5G. How we go to market? Primarily direct to our customers, the operators and CPaaS. In some cases, indirect. That would mostly be in the cases where we need a local in-country partner. Maybe they hold the contract, or the operator wants us to work with a local partner. And then we've got monetization partners, and I'll come back to this in a little bit. I'll explain further what this means later in my presentation. The majority of our go-to-market is perpetual license sales to operators and to CPaaS, and then term and volume-based pricing with CPaaS. Quick breakdown of the network security organization. The 125 number there, I won't go through all of this. You can see it there for yourself. The 125 number does not include the corporate functions in gray, and also there's some shared sales resources with another business group, the network performance business group, because we are selling to the same customer, and there's upsell and cross-sell opportunities that we take advantage of in that way. Okay, so we are world leaders in security. We're very well known in the industry, and we built that up as Adaptive Mobile, and we've spent the last 3 years transitioning that name and that brand and that reputation to Enea, and I think quite successfully. Signaling, messaging, and 5G would be what we're best known for. Voice, which I mentioned, is more of a greenfield market, and we're building our name in that space, and that's a target for us. And threat intelligence is another area that we would be very well known for. It's a big differentiator for us from our competition. So this threat intelligence is community-based knowledge that we gather from all of our customers around the world, and we can use it to enhance the security of networks in the Americas when we see something happening in the APAC region, and vice versa. And then we're building and continue to build AI and ML into our offerings to enable the experience for the customers. And as I said, we sit in the heart of the network. We're known as a very stable solution, very fast. It needs to be real time, like in milliseconds we need to be making these decisions and delivering the messages. And we've won many industry awards over the years in recognizing our leadership position in this space. The most recent one from the Kaleida industry analyst team. So I'll change flow for just a second, and I'd like to talk about some use cases with our customers where we're deployed and how they use us. And just before I do, to set the scene, I think everyone knows that your mobile phone, it's your identity. Everything we do these days is on our mobile phone. Scam calls and scam texts are, I would call, a scourge on society. They're a real pain, and people just hate them. But more than that, they cause a lot of damage. 25% of the global population has been defrauded, and the numbers they've been defrauded of are astronomical, in the trillions. 78% of the people in this survey that I'm quoting from experienced at least one scam in the last year. And I think that's even probably underestimating it. I think everyone here in the room has probably experienced many more than that in recent times. And where these scams proliferate, it's primarily on your phone, through calls, and through text messages at 61% and 58% respectively. So it's a big problem that we're trying to solve here, and that the industry is trying to solve. And a good example of where we've done this in the last few years is in the Middle East. It's with Telecom Egypt. So we were working with Telecom Egypt, and they came to us and explained that they had a big problem. This is actually how we got into the voice protection space. They said they had a big problem in the voice space. They were coming under huge pressure from the regulator locally, they were seeing subscribers move off their network, churning off their network, and their brand and reputation was being badly damaged. It was in tatters, and they needed a solution and needed it fast. So they explained what their problem was. We had built our software recently to be more flexible and configurable. So we said, let's see what we can do. We'll do a proof of concept for you. So we did that proof of concept within weeks, and it worked. And what was a little bit scary about it was the customer said, we want to leave that proof of concept in the network, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking because, like I said, we need to do this at scale with full redundancy, but it worked, and we built the redundancy in over time. 8%, something we realized afterwards, and we were able to show them proof of, 8% of the voice traffic on their network was scam. So that's almost 1 in 10 of the calls on their network. When we solved this problem, we reduced that down to less than 1% very quickly, and then over time we reduced it down even further. And of course that brought back trust in their network. It meant people were using the voice channel, were making phone calls more because now they could trust them. They weren't looking at the number and going, I'm not answering that. They were looking at the number and going, yeah, I think I can trust this. I'm gonna talk to this person now, and that increases revenue for the operator. Another example, switching to messaging this time. So in Africa, we work with a tier 1 operator group in Africa. And what we do with them is we provide a service that we call Grey Route, or this is back to the A2P monetization. So how will I describe this? So Grey Routes, if we go back to our post office analogy, this is where someone tries to send a letter and pay for a national stamp when they're sending international, and they're able to bypass the checks in the post office. Similarly, in the mobile operator, if somebody's trying to send a message from a person to a person, they might be charged a cheaper rate. But if it's a business sending to a person, they'll be charged a higher rate. And what's very common is that the businesses are using channels that use the lower rates or no rate at all. And operators are losing out to the tune of millions as a result of this. So what do? We put our firewalls into the network, and we corral that traffic. We force that traffic down the correct routes, and again, all in real time, all in milliseconds. And by doing so, the operators are now charging their customers at the correct rates, which naturally drives up their revenue. So this is it's a real no-brainer for the operators. And we're uniquely positioned to do that as a firewall vendor. This particular operator group in Africa are saving over $50 million per annum by doing this. So there's a real strong business case here for this solution. Our key competition, so on the left-hand side you'll see the messaging. So our key competitors, Proofpoint would probably be the strongest one in the messaging space. Proofpoint are well known for email protection. They have a division, formerly Cloudmark, that were acquired and are still working as Cloudmark within Proofpoint. They would be our key competition in this space. They're mainly focused in North America, and that's probably where we see the biggest threat from them, because if they're selling to the North American market, they can claim that we're American. But I think we have a strong base, much stronger base than Proofpoint in North America, and I think that serves us well. And I think we've proven ourselves over the years in that space. Mobilium and Celsius work in this space also. Sorry, I should say Proofpoint don't really focus on that monetization piece, the A2P piece that I mentioned before. They're more focused on the anti-spam protection. So we have a wider breadth of offerings than Proofpoint. Similarly, Mobilium and Celsius, they're probably more known for working in the A2P monetization space, application-to-person monetization space, more so than the anti-spam or anti-scam area. On the signaling side, again, I'll mention Mobilium. Mobilium are probably our strongest competitor on this side. They have an equal portfolio or similar to us. They ran into difficulties earlier this year. So they're Indian-backed, US headquartered, and they actually went into Chapter 11 earlier this year. They've come back from it, but it certainly shook them and shook the confidence of some of their customers. So you'll see in the opportunities section that this is something we're looking to target and focus on. And then Celius is a small Irish company that is probably better known for roaming, steering in the mobile space, and also signaling. More so than messaging, but they are also a competitor, along with SecGen. SecGen, they were resurrected from a company that was on the US embargo list because of their Russian links. Celius and SecGen will probably be bigger competitors in the tier 2 and lower markets, whereas Mobilium work with us in the tier 1 spaces. Okay, so why do we win? We win because we don't provide, security is not a tick box service. A lot of our competitors like to go in and deliver solutions that comply with the standards, comply with the protocols. But as we say to our customers, the bad actors don't care about standards. We go beyond the standards. We want to provide them a full hardened security solution, and I think our customers respect that. We provide consolidated firewalls. So what does that mean? That's a firewall that covers everything from 2G to 5G and voice and messaging, and it's all on one platform. So it's one piece of software, one screen to administrate everything, one reporting module. That's a competitive advantage we have over all of our competitors. They generally have to deploy different software for different solutions. We're a public company. This is even more important for us this year because that's seen as offering stability and trustworthiness. Mobilium, one of the reasons they went into Chapter 11 was because of some scandals, fraud-related scandals on a takeover that occurred there a number of years ago. Companies trust us, and they can see it, and we're transparent like we're being today. Research. We have many experts built up over many years, and Osvaldo mentioned the GSMA, the standards body that governs the telecoms industry. Many of our experts have actually contributed to the writing of the standards, in particular in the signaling space. And I think that proves that we are the thought leaders in this space, and we're always trying to be innovative and predict the next step and stay ahead of the game. Intelligence that I mentioned, a lot of the operators, they need this intelligence. They want to know what's happening, and they just don't have the people to invest the time. They also don't have the global view, something that we're able to give them. We're able to tell them what's going on in the industry and how well are they performing, because it's like security is when is the job done. We're able to give them kind of feedback on what's happening elsewhere in the world and how you're performing, and we give them insights and advice in that area as well. And then we have a very flexible platform. We invested in the last few years on this flexibility, and you saw with Telecom Egypt how that helped us to react very quickly. Security needs that. This is why we did it. The bad actors, their full-time job is to get around our firewalls. Their full-time job is to exploit the mobile networks. That's what we're there to do. We need a very flexible platform where we can react quickly to help our customers to close off those vulnerabilities in real time. Okay, so we're going to hear from one of our customers just now. And just before you do, I'll just quickly explain, give some background and context. So I mentioned anti-spam, messaging abuse protection. I would describe this as unwanted traffic. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants those scams hitting your inbox. That's one type of messaging. On the right-hand side, you'll see commercial messaging. This is where we enforce, so in certain countries, there are certain regulations around how you can message customers. So you can't send marketing messages at 2 a.m., for example, and many more use cases. We help customers enforce those regulatory controls, but also their own terms and conditions, make sure customers are abiding by the terms and conditions. So in the middle, you've got the grey routes controls, which I mentioned. So this is wanted traffic. The customer, like I want to know my DHL message that my package is arriving tomorrow, or my dentist appointment, or whatever it might be. This is wanted traffic, but the senders, and it's not always the brands, it can be the aggregators in the middle that are trying to find the cheapest routes, and sometimes they use routes they shouldn't be using to reduce cost. So this is the grey routes traffic, and we help monetize and enforce that. Tintec, German company, they are deployed globally. They are a CPaaS player, but we partner with them specifically around this grey routes area. And now I'll hand over to their CTO, Torsten Trapp, and he'll tell you a little bit about how Enea work with them.
Thank you very much for having me. Absolutely. I am Torsten Trapp. I'm the co-founder of Tintec. Tintec is 22 years old now. We founded in 2002 and are deeply rooted in the messaging industry. We are currently I would say, SMS wholesale aggregator plus a CPaaS player. In the last 5 years, we've seen different contradicting movements in the market. We've seen the rise of the over-the-top players for the like of WhatsApp, Viber, Telegram. Now Google's RCS is trying to play a role in this area as well. So all the over-the-top players are putting pressure on the classical telecommunications infrastructure play, like as Skype did in the voice world. It did hit the mobile operators hard. And this happens with messaging currently, or since the last 5 years. In the last few years, where the enterprise solutions of the over-the-top players gotten professional, RCS for business, WhatsApp for business, Telegram, Viber, the pressure increased. But the pressure also increased from the monetization point of view of mobile network operators. They still need to invest into the networks, they need to build it up, and they need to make sure that their revenue actually stays there and is not completely replaced by over-the-top messengers that they are not able to monetize. Okay, so in the end, the operators are writing RFPs or calling us directly when it comes to monetization, because historically we've been transporting the traffic of all the big hyperscalers to them, so they know us. And a natural conversation is to talk to the guys who have the traffic anyway, to ask what can you do to monetize it better, because they are also aware that there is leakage in their revenue. So the discussion is normally, okay, we have a network, you guys have the traffic, can you help us to do this? And this normally goes in a way that we need to monitor all aspects of the network, because the leakage comes from the network setup, which has grown over the last 20 years. And this is all not, I would say, not picture perfect. So when the operator comes in, there certainly is this commercial thing. The questions are, hey, are you connected directly to the tier ones, which we are. So all big hyperscalers are directly connected to us. We are fully connected to the aggregator ecosystem. So that is not the problem. This is what we bring to the table. The operator's inner working, meaning their own network, their own security issues, is done by I would say, consultancy job of us. We look into the network diagrams. We look into the gateways they have. We look into the signaling paths for the different technologies. And this is when we bring Enea in. Because most of the time, there is an underlying network security issue that needs to be fixed first before you can begin the monetization job. This comes with a 3GPP home router, so all the technical stuff the carriers might have and might not be at the right point in the network. So this has to be redone. And in some cases, also basic network security needs to be implemented. And this is where Enea comes into play, because they are specializing in security, they are specializing in monetization. They aren't an aggregator, so therefore they cannot fulfill the other part of the equation. And this is why the partnership of us works that great, because we bring the connectivity, the customers, and in the end, the network. But Enea brings the technology to secure the network so that the entire business case works. So basically, we've we are firewall agnostic as a company. This is how it started off. We were working what either the carrier has or what the carrier's demands were, and it turned out that Enea was just the best fit to our business because we can build that business case together as partners to the operator, so that there is no extra charge for it. So it's one thing. And Enea has this portfolio of services that works for us. So there's there's signaling security, there is monetization aspects, there's preemptive security in place. So all those modules are there, and depending on what the operator has and needs, we can stick that solution tailored for that operator and for that specific business together with Enea quite easy, because they have it in their own portfolio. We wanted a partner that has the entire portfolio together with us, to not need to manage 2 other suppliers, because that will end up in an operational nightmare. So for us, Enea is the natural go-to option when we have new prospects, or when there is security projects in play that we have to take a look at Enea as our go-to partner since, I think, 6 years now.
Okay, so this is a space I am really passionate about. It's a space I really believe in, and it's something we've moved into in the last number of years. It's important for our growth, for Tintech and for our customers. It's an easy sell. There's a clear return on investment. What Torsten didn't explain there is that they put a business case together for the operators, and they've got certain terms and conditions that they need the operator to sign up to, and then they walk in and they put the business case down and they say, we will pay you for this business, and then any profits above that, Tintech will take and we will take a share of, and it's almost a no-brainer for the operators. They're being given money up front and a guarantee of profits up front for the duration of the contract. So there's a clear ROI. It's revenue share, as I said, between Tintech and Enea, and it's recurring. For me, this is something I am striving to do all the time, is build our recurring base. And then time to market, it's all fully in our control and Tintech's control, so we can get it deployed really quickly, get the solution up and running really quickly, and start generating that revenue.
Thank you so much, John.